Hello and welcome to the Regan Hypnotherapy podcast, brought to you in association with Spotted in Ely. In this episode I want to talk about something that can feel quite alarming when it happens, and that's when your heart starts racing due to anxiety, that pounding in the chest type feeling. And when your heart starts racing due to anxiety, it can be a very frightening experience. And many people who experience this immediately think something might be wrong with them physically or medically. But in most cases, what you're experiencing is actually a very normal response from the body. Because when anxiety is triggered and your brain senses there's that threat and gets you ready to deal with it, your brain activates your body's fight or flight response. This causes the heart to beat faster so that blood and oxygen can be delivered quickly to your muscles. And in other words, your body is preparing you to deal with a perceived threat. It's getting you ready to do something physically. Now, if you're exercising, you would get the same kind of symptoms. If you're really working out, your heart's beating, there's oxygen coming in because you're breathing faster. It's going to your muscles, but of course it gets depleted there. But with anxiety, this sort of stuff tends to happen when you're not being physically active, and it becomes very frightening and can really scare you. And this really is the difficulty, because when there's no actual real external danger, you might just be sitting there at home or at work or trying to relax and switch off, and your heart starts racing due to the anxiety, and it can feel very confusing, very frightening, and you wonder really what's going on in this moment. You can find yourself asking yourself questions like, what's happening to me? Why is my heart racing? Is there something wrong? And that reaction then just causes you to feel even more anxious about what's going on, which leads to even more physical symptoms, and you get caught in that cycle of anxious physical sensations leading to anxious thoughts, leading to more physical sensations and even more thoughts. And that just increases the reaction. You feel even more anxious, and not only that, but once you have calmed down and your heart has kind of settled, you start to dread and worry about what if this happens again and how awful that will be, because you really don't want to feel this bad, do you? So the whole cycle just keeps itself running on and on and on, and you may find yourself feeling anxious even more of the time. And in my work with anxiety clients in Ely, a really helpful shift is to understand that the sensation of your heart racing is not in itself harmful. It's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant. Obviously, you don't want it to happen, and there are ways through things like hypnotherapy to calm that down so it happens less often, you can interrupt it sooner. But the key thing is to keep in mind it's unpleasant, it's uncomfortable, but your body's doing exactly what it's designed to do if you were to be faced with a threat. It's just that it's firing off when it doesn't need to, almost like your brain, your body are overprotecting you from some sort of perceived threat that normally is inside our own imagination, focus and thinking. And so when your heart starts racing due to anxiety, instead of trying to stop it immediately or to battle it or become frightened by it and feeling even more anxious, just begin to acknowledge it, that this is anxiety, your body's trying to protect you, it's doing what it's meant to do when faced with a threat, it's just firing off too much and when you don't need it to fire off. Slow your breathing down and just allow yourself into your body to settle back down a bit. Really acknowledge it in your mind. It's anxiety, your body's trying to protect you, you're medically safe, you are safe. It will come back down, but gently slow your breathing and allow your body time to settle. And what you're doing here is really taking away a large part of what continues to fuel the feeling. And that's when you start to feel frightened and anxious and worried that there's something wrong with you. You start to fear the physical responses of anxiety, with a fear of being anxious. And that keeps that fuel going. It makes it more likely that you will experience anxious symptoms, and they will happen more often. And what we're doing here is calming it down, remind yourself, acknowledge a normal physical sensation, and over time then your brain learns that it isn't dangerous, begins to trigger it less often, and you find that it happens less and you feel more settled, more calm, more in control more of the time. And if it's something you experience regularly at the moment, just keep in mind you're not alone. It's a very common and normal part of anxiety. And when you start to understand what's going on, it becomes less frightening, so you feel calmer if should it happen, because essentially it's just your heart beating faster. Take away all the worst cases and all the thinking something's wrong and all the fear, all the anxious thinking that comes before it about what if it happens, and after it when you're thinking what did happen. It becomes just a physical sensation, and that is much easier to calm through things like your breathing and other techniques. And really understand what's going on, take away the fear, and start to feel more okay about just physical sensations that your body is designed to do. And if there was one key takeaway that I would want you to take from this podcast today, it's this: that physical anxiety symptoms are caused by your body's threat response. That's normal, that's natural. They feel intense, they feel uncomfortable, but they're not dangerous. You are safe and they can be calmed. So really keep that in mind. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making it to the end. And I will look forward to speaking with you next time. You take care until then.